Dude, how much time do we have here? Come on, man. Look, here's the bottom line.
Okay. Did you catch it? Here's the bottom line. I love that. That's a speaking technique. It's called a summary prompt, and it's just one of the speaking techniques that Barack Obama uses in his interview with Hasan Minhaj, and it's what we're going to analyze here today. Why is Barack so interesting to listen to? We're going to cover 4 techniques that you can use in your work and personal life. My name is Michael. I'm a public speaking coach, and I'm one of the creators of the Ultra Speaking Method. And by the end of this video, you're going to have things that you could use on the fly whenever you're speaking off the cuff to be more clear and more interesting to listen to. So let's break it down. Number 1, Barack Obama, you just saw it. He uses this thing called summary prompts. And these are little prompts for your brain and for the listener's brain to send one specific signal, and it's this: I'm about to give you the message. So let's see it in action.
I guess this is the point I'm trying to make. The point you're making, though, is a legitimate. The point I was going to make, here's the bottom line.
All he does the entire interview is say things like bottom line, the point I'm making. I guess what I'm trying to say is he has a habit of summarizing often. And this is one thing we've noticed that all the great speakers do. They summarize their message often. All right, number two, and this is related. Barack doesn't just give you the message, he shows it to you. He brings it to life, and he uses a couple of techniques, but mostly analogies and examples.
Let me give you a specific example. Here's an example. Take an example like, here's another way of saying it.
Here's another way of saying it. That's what he does throughout the entire interview, and it's so effective. He, like all great communicators, know that there's no one way of explaining something. So he's constantly trying to show you different ways of seeing an idea. He uses examples, he uses analogies in hopes that you can picture what he's saying. And let's take a look at one of my favorite analogies that he uses in the interview. He's asked about the human condition, and he decides to talk about it using chimps and bananas.
We're a bunch of chimps with guns and big machines.
Yeah, talk that talk.
But we're basically still operating at chimp-like levels. Right. And it doesn't matter if you have enough, you got a banana, somehow you still want everybody else's banana.
When you use examples and analogies, you're doing your listener a favor. You're saying, let me paint the picture for you, and it becomes much more interesting to listen to. The bottom line is that great communicators don't just tell you something, they find different ways to show you. And what's great about this 30-minute interview is that throughout the 30 minutes, Barack is constantly in the habit of thinking, how else can I explain this idea? And that's really what great communicators are constantly doing. Okay, number 3, let's jump to it. So far, we've talked about what makes him so clear and so vivid, but what is it that makes him personable? From my vantage point, the one thing that Barack does really well, and all great speakers do, is he's very open. He's very vulnerable. And I want to play for you one of my favorite clips from the entire interview where he shares one of the dreams he had while being in the White House. And it's just not something that I would have expected from a president to share with the world. But take a listen.
I did have dreams where I wasn't president, and they were some of my happiest dreams, where I'd be walking down the street. And it was a nice day, and I'd stop and get like, in a little bodega, I'd stop and get like a iced coffee or something. Yeah. And I'd sit on a bench, and suddenly I realized nobody recognizes me. And that's the only thing that happened in the dream. I'd just be sitting there chill. Okay. And I felt like I'd won the lottery.
I had no idea that one of his best dreams, his happiest dreams, was when he wasn't president and he wasn't recognized. And that's just a level of getting to know somebody that I think makes us like them, makes us relate to them. And there were moments throughout the interview, and I'll just show you a couple, where I felt like he did a really good job of just being real with us.
Oh, look, I'm owning that completely. I've always said that is probably the worst mistake of my presidency. Okay. Of course, there are times where I feel depressed.
Okay.
The bottom line is that he's unafraid to be vulnerable, and in the age of authenticity, that's really, really important. We see that in Brené Brown, we see that in Simon Sinek, we see that in all great communicators, and Barack shows us that even at the highest level, the highest title you could have in the country, there's still an opportunity to share more of himself with the world. But that brings us to the final point number 4, which is so related, and that's sense of humor. If you watch the interview, there's so many times where Barack is really funny, and it contrasts so nicely from these more serious, vulnerable moments to just moments of lightheartedness. And so I created a little compilation of my favorite bits that really showcase what type of person Barack Obama is. Let's take a look.
I'm actually going to lean on you to be my therapist a little bit. Help me understand.
Come on,
this,
I'm going to help you out.
So meet me here. I'm here speaking on behalf of so many voters.
Yeah.
And
First
so
of all,
many
let me set my watch so that you know, that's part of the therapy process.
Right. I know.
So you know, tell your skeptical, you know, Indian uncles, dude, come on, man. I probably helped Hassan get a job. You know, if it hadn't been for another guy with a funny name, you know, Netflix isn't going to carry him.
Do you have any questions for me in my body of work?
Not really. I mean,
copy that.
You know, maybe shoot a little higher.
We've seen this from Barack Obama before. He's been on Between Two Ferns with Zach Galifianakis. That's an amazing video to watch. But the point is that he's just a funny person. That's part of his personality, and he's unafraid to show it. And that's really the theme of this video, is that at the end of the day, I think what makes him so likable, or perhaps just so interesting to listen to, is it feels like he is being himself. There's so many moments where that happens in the video, and I think it comes down to authenticity. The bottom line is that communication is a skill, and all of us can learn it, and you already have what it takes. If you're interested in improving your communication, there's a free ebook in the description about how to speak better under pressure and thrive in the moment. And at the end of the day, bottom line, my summary prompt is this: you already have what it takes to be a great speaker. So I hope you continue on that journey, and I'm going to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.